Hello, welcome to the most dangerous podcast. As you know by now, I'm Fraser and I'm with my good friend James tonight. How are you, James?
I'm not going to do it. I was going to do the England thing. But I'm all right. Yeah, no. I'm all right. I'm a bit tired. I had a bit of a wild night on Wednesday because
Oh, right, okay.
I've got like no self control. I'm getting old now, and
Yeah, yeah.
one wild night means 3 days of torture.
So what's
I've
this?
got
Have you started supporting England now, or?
you go. I mean, I'm like half English. I can get away with it.
Well, I didn't really get to watch the game, but I had the game on, so I listened to the commentators. Like it was on the
Yeah,
telly, so it wasn't like on the radio where they describe everything that's going on. But it sounded like England had a really good first half,
yeah, they
but
played really well
then the
actually.
game was just really flat and shit in the second half.
Well,
Like,
the Netherlands made some changes. It was about the midfield, so England
yeah.
controlled the midfield, and then Netherlands made some changes and sort of plugged the gaps type thing. So it sort of
Mhm.
petered out a bit. But it's a bit for me. It's hard not to get swept up in it all because I live in England and
Well, yeah.
my children are English,
Mhm.
and my partner's English. My everyone around me is English.
I'm
So
in the
it's
same
kind of like,
boat, really.
yeah. So it's hard not to kind of go. I mean, and you know, Wales aren't in it. So
Mhm.
it's kind of like, I think I've got a license to kind of get swept away with it as well.
Yeah.
I'm no turncoat.
Now, I've told you this. I'm not going to be cooking paella on Sunday night or anything like that. I'm not. I'm not. I'm honestly not really that fussed either way. But
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
I mentioned a few weeks back when that politician, I can't remember his name, Stephen Flynn was on the news, and
yeah,
they asked
yeah.
him, "Are you going to be supporting England if they get to the final?" He's like, "Well, no,
Mhm.
it's not my nation, it's not my squad."
Yeah.
So I understand that completely, but
But it'd
I
be a
mean,
lift for the country. Country's been through some shit recently, and certainly be a lift for everyone around us and
oh, that'd be good, right?
the
I've
atmosphere
got
for a bit.
permission. Yeah. So like Wednesday was a rough one. So I watched the
If
game
it,
here, and then obviously like the last minute sort of goal, which everyone loves, went
yeah,
a bit
got a few of
crazy.
them.
Well, this is the thing. We've been in tournaments.
Hmm.
Sometimes the best team doesn't win, and the team that wins is the team that has the moments. You know
Yeah,
the
yeah,
the, the Liverpool champion, the 2005 final for Liverpool. Those moments, just
yeah.
the Gerrard header, and even the United one in '99. The two goals at the last minute. These
Hmm.
moments that create these kind of things. So who knows? I personally think they'll do it. But yeah, Wednesday. Just going back to that. So obviously the
Hmm.
last minute goal, everyone gets excited. And then before I knew it, my neighbour's on the phone. Coming over for a few beers then. That was good, wasn't
Ah.
it? So I was there till about 2:30.
Hmm.
Got about 4 hours sleep. I was an hour late for work.
Shit.
Uh, yeah, I'm leaving anyway. What they're going to do, sack me.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, and I've just been feeling pretty, like, I don't know, it takes a while to shake this stuff off these days, honestly.
Yeah, oh God, it's been a long time since I've had any kind of hangover. Uh, I've I would get a hangover from bloody shandy these days. I just don't really touch it, but I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine doing it.
Yeah, it's hard. Well, I've been given permission to go in at 10 o'clock on Monday, regardless.
Right.
But I've heard rumours that if they do win,
Hmm.
there might be a bank holiday.
Yeah.
And I don't know how that works in the sense that, like, does the Prime Minister come on at like 11 o'clock at night and go, bank holiday tomorrow, everyone? I
True.
don't know. Like, or is it going to be like the week after when they do a parade or something? I think that's
Yeah, they'd
what
probably. Yeah, they'd have to give people notice because it's not so much people like you and I. It's big, massive department stores and stuff. Do they open?
yeah,
Do they
of
close? They
course, yeah. And like manufacturers and stuff, or like
banks.
markets with fresh food being delivered and stuff. So,
That's it. Yeah, I've got to give them
s-
time to prepare. But
yeah, so I don't know how that work, but yeah, so I'm not going into that. But anyway, that's
mhm.
sort of football talk. I think in terms of what's going on in my world, I'm a bit annoyed. All
Go
right,
on.
so as mentioned before, I think that I work in an office and I've got my own office,
Yeah.
and I've mentioned before that I'm leaving my current job, and I'm still waiting to leave.
Still not
Uh,
got your gardening leave through yet, no?
I don't think that's going to happen, given I've got 2 weeks left.
All right.
But we've got somebody new in, and guess what?
Are they in your office?
In my fucking office. Right. So I can't listen to me weekly podcasts because I feel like he's a sound guy, like, I'm not
Yeah.
like, you
Got
know,
your headphones on.
Well, I feel a bit because he's kind of new and he's asking questions and stuff, so I can't kind of go. Oh,
Right,
just
okay.
ask me in an hour after I
Just put
finish.
one headphone in. That's what I do.
Yeah, that's an idea. I mean, he started sort of Wednesday. In fact, he started Wednesday. Then I roll in at fucking an hour late on Thursday, stinking of fucking yeah, so he's got to come in and out of it, and like now it's a bit like my managers sort of turned their attention away from me.
Yeah.
I don't know. It sounds a bit weird, this, and kind of sort of focusing on them, and it's just kind of like now I'm kind of they're kind of just waiting for me to go, and I'm kind of waiting to go as well. It's all a bit kind of oh no.
Uncomfortable, I can
Yeah,
imagine.
it's getting a bit awkward now. Yeah. So 2 weeks left. I can't wait to go, and then I've got a week off, which is always good. So yeah, watch this space. How about you? Anything interesting this week?
Not in the sense of my life. No, it's just been quite a normal week. I mean, I can't believe it's like a month until I go on holiday. I'm still trying to work out where I'm going to get my spending money from. I'm, trying to sort stuff out like that. Life's creeping by very quickly. But no, it's just been a normal week. But I've seen a couple of things this week that I wanted to mention to you tonight. And one of them that really, really tickled me was, when you're scrolling through Facebook, it's just random shit, all sort of stuff.
Yeah, I don't really go on it anymore, but like I know what you mean. Like I go on Twitter more, but I don't. I'm like a doom scroller. I don't like interact with anything. Occasionally like things. I just look at it,
just stare at stuff. Well, this one came up, and it was these escape rooms.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so they're everywhere. Yeah, you go in, you get locked in a room, and it's like inside a chamber or something, or
Yeah,
a library.
I've done one.
Yeah, I've never done one, but
yeah, they're pretty good. Well, they're hard. I did one with Katie, and yeah, we didn't do it. It was a horror one. It was fucking petrifying. Like
really,
really, really scary. Yeah.
Well, there's this guy that keeps doing it to the same escape rooms. They got big doors on the outside, the entrance to it, with big looped handles.
Oh yeah.
And he keeps running up randomly, sticking a lock on the handle and shoving through a list of clues for how they can get back out.
Yeah.
And this is like the main entrance to the building, It's like,
I might have seen that. I've seen the CCTV footage of it.
Yeah, like running up, tying a thing and running away.
Yeah, and like the worker there is just like, oh, for God's, like, oh, not again.
But like, the world needs more of these people. This genius sitting at night going, I'm going to lock them all in an escape room.
To work out the code for this lock, you need to figure out these clues.
Yes, yeah. So there was that tickled me, and another one was I was driving up the M62 road that goes up to Leeds and stuff. It splits in half. There's a farm in the middle.
I hate that motorway.
Like, it's always busy.
It's not that. It is busy coming out of Manchester. You get around the Manchester Ring Road, and then you hit the the M60.
There's the 60, 62. There's
60. Yeah, the one up to Leeds.
Yeah.
There's a certain bit. I think as you get past that farm, every single time you go on it, there's a traffic jam, and you sort of trundling along for about not long. It's like 5-10 miles every single time. And then you get to the end of it, and everyone just carries on.
Yeah, it's just nothing.
There's nothing.
Nothing
There's no
there.
explanation to why this has happened.
Do you know what I think it is? That's everyone slowing down, going, that's the farm where the old miserable bastard wouldn't move for the motorway. So they built the motorway around him, and now he's fucking trapped.
So everyone just sort of slows down a bit to look at the farm. So it slows everyone down. Honestly, because I go up to York sort of usually like once a year, definitely, maybe a few times, because I've got family up there. And then obviously it's a nice area as well, so we've had holidays up there. Every single time I'm on that motorway, for whatever reason, that point you stop for about 10 miles. But anyway,
also, is it not Saddleworth Moor round there?
That's roughly yeah.
So everyone's slowing down, going, I wonder where she put them. Looking about.
It just doesn't make any sense, though, because you just come out of it and just go.
Yeah,
like there's no crash or there's no sort of like emergency services. It's just so weird.
That's it. You don't mind a traffic jam when you get to the end and you think, someone's got really hot here. I shouldn't moan about being stuck in traffic when they're in hospital right now or dead or something. But yeah, when it's nothing, or it's some prick that's put the wrong petrol in his car or something, it's
But I've never
annoying.
experienced it on any other motor. It's just there. It's just that
Yeah.
particular point. I'm sure it's round about that point. It might be people slowing down, going, "Look at that house there."
The M56 used to do it between Wilmslow and Altrincham, but our listeners are not interested in that.
Yeah, traffic talk. We're turning into like an Alan Partridge podcast.
But anyway, I was on this road and they've got big trailers with adverts on them, you know? And one of them I was driving, it says bullionbypost.com. And I thought, bullion. I've been going to the shop to buy my bullion. And here I could have got it delivered online. Who the fuck's buying bullion?
It's a good investment.
Bullion.
Gold and silver and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like what people are, can you give me 12 gold bars, please?
Yeah,
for that's
real.
126 grand.
For real, yeah. It's a good investment.
Imagine the postman carrying them.
Clink. No, because I was looking at it actually. Funnily enough, not recently, but I was thinking
you were going to buy bullion. I'm doing.
Yeah,
but
you don't. It's not like in the movies where you get these huge gold bars,
right?
You know, like if like 12 ounces or whatever, a kilo of gold it's relatively small,
right.
But it's inflation proof, isn't it? Like it'll retain its value, or go up in value.
I suppose so. But
platinum and gold, it's better than keeping your money in a bank, because with inflation it loses value. So you put it in gold or platinum or silver, and and you keep your gold bullion under your mattress. like Pablo Escobar or something.
I just looked at
it's a thing. That's a good idea.
I looked at it and I thought, right, we're supposed to be in this like fucking financial crisis, and there's people getting bullion through the letterbox. What the fuck's going on?
That's why, because of inflation. So people have got savings, and their savings are losing value because obviously the inflation things. So it's a huge market, because people are just going, well, what can I invest in that will retain value?
So it's worth becoming a burglar, really.
I don't get the logic there. Why? What, in case someone's got bullion?
People are buying bullion and keeping it in their house.
yeah, I guess so. But you'd have to find it.
Yeah, true.
That's the thing. It'd be difficult. It'd be tricky to find.
Yeah,
because it's like I said, it's not gold bars like the ones in the movies. It's just little blocks of gold,
little ingots or whatever they call them.
That's it.
And
so do it.
The last thing that tickled me is Laura bought a thing. We've got the big dog that I have to put out halfway through every podcast.
Oh yeah,
and he barks at the window. And she bought this thing the other day that you put next to the window, and it's a bark detector. And when he barks, it makes a sound that he hates, so it stops him barking. Right. And it was from like
that's so harsh,
from like B&M, right?
Like it's like this, the human equivalent is something that makes a noise that you hate when you sort of talk. It stops you from talking.
But so he starts barking, right, and the little red light comes on, and nothing happens, and he doesn't do anything, and I'm like, right, okay. What does it do? She goes, it makes a sound. So, but I couldn't hear anything. She goes, it makes a really high frequency that only he can hear. You can't hear that.
Right, yeah.
And I thought, what an ingenious business idea. That's like selling a ghost detector, isn't it? You just sell these little boxes that light up when it hears a noise and tell, you can't hear the sound, but it's there. It's fucking there.
Emperor's New Clothes type thing, isn't it?
That's it.
Yeah.
But do you remember
so it doesn't work then?
No, it does fuck all. But do you remember there was a couple about 10 years ago or 5 years ago that caught selling these nuclear detection kits or something?
It was a bloke. I think it was one guy. Yeah, he made loads off it as well.
He did, and I thought, right, there's a lot of people that probably listen to our podcast, that's spiritualists and stuff, and I thought, I wonder if you could actually sell just a little box with a light on it. This is a ghost detector. It's £200.
People do that though.
Yeah, but
you see, like, I don't
they phone you 6 months down the line. Oh, it's not done anything. Well, that's good. There's no ghosts. You're safe.
But like these, like, have you seen these sort of like ghost shows where they kind of go ghost tracking and stuff? And
they've got all sorts of equipment,
these gadgets and stuff, and like it's essentially like the Ghostbusters flux capacitor. No, that's the future, isn't it? Whatever they call it in Ghostbusters, it goes lights up. Like they've got that thing, and it goes red, and they all go, "Oh, there's something here." Like, that's essentially that, though, isn't it? Like, it's
Yeah.
just there's no evidence. I saw one which was quite funny, and like the guy was like walking around, so he was like kind of new to it, and he was walking around, and every now and then, like the thing would like fluctuate, and then he had like another guy who'd done it a few times. He was like, "Mate, have you got your phone in your pocket?" He's like, "Oh yeah." So like apparently these things are like sensitive to sort of electromagnetic
Right.
in the air or something like that. Anyway, so when you're in the like sometimes your telly or something will go like do that weird like
Yeah.
so that's like kind of something to do with your phone, isn't it?
Ah.
So apparently these devices are sensitive to sort of that sort of noise in the atmosphere, and yeah, so essentially people are selling ghost detectors which just light up. So it's like a similar sort of thing to the dog thing.
Yeah. I remember Billy Connolly years ago said, "I'd love to be a nuclear bomb salesman. Yeah, if you blow this one up, it'll annihilate the whole world." He said it could be full of sawdust. No one's going to try it, are they? No one's going to say, "Well, let's try it and make sure it works first."
Yeah, they could all be duds, couldn't they?
I know. Anyway, so that brings us on to this is your bit, James.
Oh, is it? Well, I was just trying to think if I've got anything else, but I don't think I do. So it's time for dangerous news. Okay, Fraser. So this week's dangerous news, slim pickings this week. To be honest, I don't know whether it's the time of year because there's not much going on. Everyone's just trying to enjoy the summer. I suppose we've not had much of a summer so far. But so I did a sort of scout around the usual suspects, and I'm sorry to say I haven't got much, to be honest. But I will give you what I've got.
Okay.
And then we'll pretend it never happened. So first story then. So both stories come from Oddity Central website. So the famous reliable website Oddity Central.
Oddity Central. Geez, you must have been on the second page of search results. Really.
I think it was the fourth page. To be honest, I was really struggling. But here we go. So this is on the 3rd of July. At least 5 fishermen dead after drinking contents of bottles found at sea. So
they found bottles at sea and drank them.
Yeah, essentially.
Idiots.
Thanks. And that's this week's dangerous news. Right, okay, so at least 5 Sri Lankan fishermen have tragically lost their lives, and 3 more are in critical condition after consuming mysterious contents of bottles found floating in the open sea.
Dear God.
The Sri Lankan Navy recently reported that at least 5 fishermen have died after consuming an unknown liquid from bottles they found around 320 nautical miles from Tangail, something like that, a town on the south coast of Sri Lanka. It's unclear how many of these mysterious bottles were found floating out at sea, but a Navy spokesperson told journalists that they contained some sort of alcohol. The bottles were shared among the sailors of the fishing vessel named Devon. I'm guessing that's the boat. And before long, some of them started to feel sick. Despite receiving rudimentary assistance on the boat from the Sri Lankan Navy medical personnel, at least 5 of the fishermen have died, and others are in critical condition. So yeah, there's a lesson in there somewhere.
Oh yeah.
Don't drink from random bottles that you find.
What? I mean, if they were stranded at sea and dying of thirst, then maybe. But I don't think alcohol's that dear in Sri Lanka, from what I've heard.
It must have been like, is it like alcohol? It's like 100% proof. Like,
Could have just been that old. It's just fermented and
really
been really strong. I don't know.
I mean, I'm pretty sure, like, 100% proof alcohol is poison, isn't it? Well, alcohol is poison, but
yeah.
I'm pretty sure that because like even the strongest alcohol you can get, like absinthe, is only only, but it's like 70, isn't it? Or 75,
something like that. Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure 100% would. And if you take a big gulps of it,
you wouldn't. You'd get one of them, wouldn't you? He'd say, "Right, Callum, you go and sit there and have a fucking drink of that, and we'll all see what happens to you."
Callum.
Instead of like passing it around. I don't know, what are Sri Lankan names?
I don't know. I don't want to offend anybody. Okay, next story. A woman uses hand grenade as a hammer for 20 years and lives to tell the tale. So this is on. It's from the same website. It's on the 1st of July. A 19-year-old Chinese woman unknowingly used an old hand grenade to crack nuts and hammer nails for 2 decades after finding the unexploded ordnance in a field one day.
Sorry, James, did you say she was 19?
90.
Oh, right, okay, I was going to say.
Yeah. So she found it 2 decades ago. And it's one of those, you ever played Call of Duty or whatever? And, you get the modern hand grenades that are like sort of balls, aren't they?
Yeah.
But if you know anything about, sort of watch these war films and stuff, you get the ones that are like kind of, they've got sticks and they've sort of got
like
balls,
a stick and a canister thing on
the top. Yeah, so it's one of them.
Right, yeah.
So she found it in a field and just started using it to sort of smash open nuts and bang nails into things and stuff.
Did they know, was it live? Was it operation?
Well, I don't think so. Because, well, do they ever not become live?
I don't know.
Because all the gunpowder or whatever, the explosive, is in the canister bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
And in order to sort of ignite it, you need a spark, which I guess happens when it hits the ground, or I don't know how internally it works.
Rusty nails.
Yeah, so I'm guessing that it must have some sort of there must be some danger to it. So the woman, surnamed Quinn, she didn't give a first name, told Japanese reporters that she was working on a farm in Hubei province when she found this strange metal lump with a wooden handle. Convinced it was a makeshift hammer, she took it home and used it to pound all kinds of tough objects from nuts to metal nails. It was only last week when a team of men working on demolishing an old house noticed the hand grenade that the right. Let me start that again. Sorry. Let me read it. Actually, I don't think I've read it before. It was only last week when a team of men working on demolishing her house noticed the hand grenade that the retired woman learned that she'd been gambling with her life every time she used it. And she used it a lot, apparently. As police reported that the grenade's wooden handle had become so smooth and glossy from years of use, while the metallic head was full of dents where she'd been bashing things.
Jesus.
So, yeah.
It's one of those things. She's probably used it confidently for 20 years, and as soon as someone said it's a hand grenade, you'd be afraid to tap it against the wall. Just all of a sudden, you'd be like, I don't want to touch that.
Hey, John, do you fancy a walnut? Kabloom!
Yeah. Fucking hell.
The whole house just demolished.
What kind of fucking walnut was that?
That's crazy, yeah. That's quite scary, actually.
Yeah. This sounds like a good website. I want to read some more of their stories.
I'll probably never be able to find it again. It was so buried so deep in Google. So that's, as I say, slim pickings this week. I don't know. Nothing's happening because it's summer. Nothing really happens over summer.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, from a business point of view, you're just not getting any phone calls, no one inquiring. It's just as if everyone's like, what everyone's doing is everyone's waking up and going, maybe today the weather will be nice.
Yeah, but not that. But people are on holiday as well.
Yeah.
So, like in sort of my office and stuff, like people, it just works. The workers are just reduced by like 50% for most of the time because everyone's taking weeks off and stuff. The government's in recess, or it will be soon, and so nothing's much is happening. But there we go. That's this week's dangerous news. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as we mentioned last week, we're coming to the end of season 2, or series 2, if you're British. And I think we said that we're going to do, like we did at the end of season 1, sort of a special, a 4-parter. So tonight, or today, or this morning, or whenever you're listening, It's the first part of our season 2 series special, whatever you want to call it. So, Fraser, take it away.
Yeah, so I mean, what we said we were going to do is last time we did Australia, the most dangerous country in the world.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that I think you've wanted to do since before we started the podcast. We're going to look at some British serial killers.
Yeah, I think I did mention it at the very beginning. I was like thinking,
Yeah.
let's look at the most dangerous people,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously the format's changed gradually. It's organically evolved over time. So I think we've both agreed now is the good time to squeeze it in, crowbar it into this
Yeah,
this little pod.
Absolutely. So, you told me you basically claimed, two really good ones and left me with the shit, and I had a real good look, and I thought, right, there's loads of Britain's had some quite good serial killers out there, and but I thought it's always best when you're starting with something to start at the beginning.
All right.
And I found the lady that was certainly Britain's first female serial killer, and actually the first real one of the first real serial killers of note in Britain.
Oh, interesting. I don't know if I know this.
We're going to talk about a lady called Mary Ann Cotton.
Oh no, this is new to me.
Doesn't
Nice
ring
one.
a bell. Wonderful.
No, Cotton.
I was hoping that. She's been well talked about on podcasts and sort of documentaries and stuff because her story is really quite interesting. But hopefully, like we tend to do, we'll have a different sort of angle on it. So
Yeah. Do we need a trigger warning here?
no.
Oh, it's all right. Okay.
Well, I mean, there's quite a few people.
There's murder involved.
There's murder involved, yeah. If you don't want to hear about people dying, but it's not like gruesome or anything.
Okay.
Like that.
All right. Cool.
So yeah, don't listen to it if you don't like hearing about people dying. But
who doesn't like hearing about people dying?
I know it's like the most dangerous podcast. What are they expecting?
Yeah. All right.
So tonight, James, we're going to talk about Mary Ann Cotton. Are you ready?
Let's go for it.
Okay, so before we go into our adult life, it's essential to understand her early years, which were no less marked by tragedy and hardship. Born Mary Ann Robinson on October the 31st, Halloween, in 1832 in the small village of Low Moorsley in County Durham, England, she was the daughter of Michael and Margaret Robson. Her father worked as a miner, a perilous and often deadly occupation during that era.
Yeah, of course. Things were different then.
Oh yeah, people died all the time, didn't they?
Mm.
When Mary Ann was just 9 years old, her father met a tragic end. One fateful day in 1842, whilst working at Muirton how do you say it? Colliery.
Yeah, whatever.
Muirton coal mine. He fell. He fell to his death down a mine shaft. Now I've read this. It was 150 feet.
Shit.
So a second-story window is 20 feet.
Oh wow.
The top of a second-story building.
Yeah. So your gran lives on the what floor?
Number 20. Yeah. So
What do you
20
reckon that
times
is?
10 feet is 200. So it's probably
About that. Well, a bit less, but
getting up towards there. Yeah, quite a distance.
Yeah, horrible. Because I always thought, like, when people jump off buildings, like suicide and stuff. Maybe there should be a trigger warning. But like that time that it takes to hit the bottom.
Yeah,
you're thinking there, aren't you? It's not instant, like
No, I know. Think what's running through their head.
Yeah, like, oh no.
Shit.
It's just a mistake. Yeah. So that's horrible. But carry
on. So yeah, needless to say, it didn't end well from him. The impact was so severe that his body was unrecognizable.
Wow.
Adding to the horror of this event, Michael
Robson. It's dark.
Oh yeah, couldn't see him. Adding to the horror of this event, Michael Robson's body was brought back to the family home in a sack.
Oh, bloody hell, really? That's unnecessary, isn't it?
A stark and grisly reminder of the dangers of mining life. And I read that they got 24 hours and then they had to move out of the house because it was a mining house.
No way. What, with the sack?
Yeah, over their shoulder.
Shit. Like, who even thought that was a good... Just bringing round, there's your husband. Sorry. And I
What
bet
should
they
we
got.
do with him? He's not ours. Fucking give him back to the family.
And I bet, like in those days, you didn't get compensation for stuff like that.
No,
There's no sort of
nothing like
workers'
that.
rights.
No. So this traumatic experience undoubtedly left a lasting impact on young Mary Ann. It thrust the family into financial instability and emotional turmoil. Her mother's struggle to provide for Mary Ann and her younger brother instilled a harsh reality about survival in the harsh industrial landscape of 19th century England. This early brush with death and hardship perhaps sowed the seeds of the cold, calculating demeanour that would come to define Mary Ann Cotton in her later years.
Maybe. I mean, we'll find out what she does, but I mean, obviously that's tragic.
I think that there's too many people looking for excuses for someone being a twat.
Definitely, but I think we will go on to sort of explore. Well, we definitely will go on to explore other serial killers, and I think there is a common theme that runs through quite a lot of them. I mean, it's only 4 parts. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves, but there's a general theme that like people do who commit these horrible crimes. They tend to have some sort of difficult upbringing.
I think something that always comes up is that they live a life where they can only rely on themselves. You know, they in some way they feel let down by people.
Yeah, maybe, yeah, or or society, or
Yeah.
you know what I mean, like. But yeah.
Mary Ann Cotton's early life seemed unremarkable. She married her first husband, William Mowbray, in 1852. The couple moved to Plymouth, where William worked as a fireman aboard a steamship. Now, I looked that up. It wasn't someone for putting out the fires. It was the keeping the fires burning to boil the water.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, there's not many fires at sea, is there?
I know, because I had to look that up. I thought, how many firemen do they need in the ship? But the fireman was the guy in charge of the fire, cooking the boilers.
Yeah, I get it now.
You know, because it rang a bell because my granda Bob was a fireman on the old steam trains.
Right, okay. Job. And then it's shoveling coal into the furnace, yeah.
Yeah, that was it. And it was apparently more than that because you had to keep the fire to the right temperature. He told me it wasn't just shoveling coal.
Yeah, that's what they all say.
I know. So they had 5 children, but tragically 4 of them died of gastric fever.
Suspicious.
Remember that. A common diagnosis for many of Mary Ann's victims. In 1865, William himself fell ill and died, with the cause listed as an intestinal disorder.
All right. Did I mention that recently I've had sort of gut problems?
Have you? I've always had gut problems.
So, like, alarm bells are ringing a bit here. I get home from work, tea's on the table, and then all of a sudden I'm writhing in pain in my bed.
Would you be uncomfortable if I swapped my plate with yours?
Yeah. Why don't you try some of this nice, lovely new salt that I got?
Yeah. Why has my plate got different food on it to yours? Do you know, when my granddad was really ill, right? He was struggling to eat a lot of food towards the end. And they gave my granny this, it was a stuff you sprinkled on it, and it was really like high calorie sprinkles, basically.
Yeah.
To help beef him up.
Substitute technique.
I was desperate to get a big can of it, and every night to shake it over my dad's dinner. So after like a couple of weeks, he's sitting there about 16 stone going, I can't understand why I'm putting on so much weight. Fat. Anyway. Right, okay, what raised eyebrows, here we go, James, was that Mary Ann had taken out a life insurance policy on William shortly before his death.
It's always the way, the good old life insurance. Yeah,
I know. So this was again a pattern that would repeat itself with unsettling regularity. The payout from the insurance policy left her financially secure and free to pursue new relationships.
That's convenient.
Yeah.
I mean, now you're going in through the story.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was a TV program about this.
Probably.
I think there was a show. It might have been like an ITV drama. It does sound familiar. And
yeah.
And insurance policies at that time, they weren't like huge. They're not talking millions like they are these
days.
days.
It was basically 6 months' wages.
Yeah. So it's just enough to see you through for 6 months.
It was £35, but that was the equivalent of you getting 6 months' wages.
Yeah.
Nowadays.
I mean, that's It's not huge. Like these days, you get 500,000, 1,000,000 policies, don't you? If you're
Oh yeah,
wealthy enough to have those sort of in place.
my
Uh,
life insurance is calculated so that for the rest of her life, Laura would have what I would have earned each year, sort of thing. So it's
right. Okay. Are you feeling okay? Is she cooking your
yeah.
dinner tonight?
Oh, she'd be far better off without me. Definitely, definitely. Yeah, it's like it is like it looks after you for your whole life, not just
Yeah.
there's 6 months' wages while you get
There's some dough while you get
sorted.
yourself back on your feet. Yeah.
I know. Not long after William's death, Marianne moved to Seaham Harbour and began working as a nurse. It was there that she met George Ward, a patient at the Sunderland Infirmary. George, suffering from poor health, quickly became Marianne's second husband in 1865. She was
Very
like, right,
convenient.
he's fucking halfway there.
Yeah, it's life insurance. Let's take out life insurance.
His health deteriorated rapidly after their marriage, and he died within a year. Again,
Yeah.
Marianne collected the insurance money, adding to her growing list of suspicious windfalls.
Were people suspicious at this point, or do you know? Or
No,
was
I
it kind
don't
of
think it was
because
people.
but they probably felt sorry for you for her.
Yeah,
Oh my god, I can't believe this has happened again.
that poor woman. So in 1866, so the following year, Marianne married her third husband, James Robinson, a shipwright and recent widower who needed someone to care for his children. Their marriage was tumultuous,
What does that
marked by
mean? I don't know what that means.
full of trouble, arguments, fighting.
Like standard then.
Yeah. So their marriage was problematic, marked by the mysterious deaths of two of James's children, who had seemed healthy before suddenly succumbing to gastric fever.
There's a bit of a theme here.
When Marianne suggested taking out life insurance policies on his children, James grew suspicious and refused. This refusal might have saved his life. She was trying to ensure.
I'm going to say next day he was dead.
Yeah. James's suspicions deepened when Marianne's own mother, who had been staying with them, fell ill and died unexpectedly.
Jesus.
Marianne had nursed her mother during the illness, raising questions about the true nature of her care.
But she was a nurse, though, so
she was a nurse, yeah.
But respected, kind of. She knew what she was doing.
She was a nurse in the way Harold Shipman was a doctor.
True, yeah. Which, no spoilers, but we may come on to Harold Shipman at some point.
So James Robinson, he got suspicious and he basically kicked her out. Told her to sling her fucking hook.
Yeah.
I think you've murdered two of my kids. Please leave. As it was back in the day, You're not murdering any more of my children. Fucking pack your bags and leave.
Yeah. I suppose, I can't remember which episode it was now. We discussed the police, didn't we? And how, the police force came into being. And I suppose around about that time, it was probably around about the incorporation of the Met Police and stuff.
Well,
so I don't know what policing was like back then.
I do go on in this to say that, back in those times, they didn't really have forensics. They just sort of said, been sick a lot and died, gastro problems. It was kind of that simple.
It must have been so easy to get away with murder then.
Yeah.
Definitely. I bet there was loads of murders that just...
But there were loads of viruses at the time that people were just dropping like flies. There were different sort of influenza outbreaks and stuff like that. So unless someone was actually physically murdered...
Yeah, or witnessed to be... You just cut that person's head off. Yeah.
That's it. They didn't bother so much. So I suppose he's like, there's probably nothing I can do that you've killed two of my kids because I can't prove it.
Yeah. Do you mind jibbing?
Yeah. Fuck off. Yeah. I'm not eating your food anymore. After her split from James Robinson, Marianne quickly remarried Frederick Cotton, a widower with two sons, in 1870. So this is within a year or so.
She's a quick mover.
I know, yeah. The Cotton family soon expanded with the birth of a son. However, Frederick and his two sons fell ill and died in rapid succession.
Jeez.
Guess what?
I wonder how, oh, go on, sorry.
Stomach ailments.
You knew it. Like,
Oh.
back in them days, like, it was kind of I'm not a historian. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it was kind of sort of frowned upon if you were kind of like going from husband to husband to husband.
It was, and again, I've read much longer things at this that we couldn't fit in our podcast, but she was actually still married to James Robinson.
So bigamy.
Yeah, bigamy. Yeah, because, but again, there weren't records. Now, I read into it that you didn't have to register births until later.
Right.
It was round about the sort of 1870s, towards the end of this reign of terror, that you had to register births. So you could actually have a child and have it for a couple of years and wring its neck and get rid of it.
Yeah,
and there was no records of the child.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
So you could get away with a lot more. So I think, although this is bigamy, I don't think like the marriage records were quite the same and stuff like that. So So poor Frederick and his two sons, they're now dead with stomach ailments. And once again, Mary Ann collected the insurance payments.
Yeah. She must be pretty well off by now.
Well, I think she just does it and then she lives for 6 months off the
and
insurance.
Then finds another husband to do it again.
Yeah, gets another one.
But even so, like, the 6 months' wages, I imagine they were reasonable, I suppose. Yeah, enough to see you through.
You'd think so.
There's certainly a pattern emerging.
Definitely something to be suspicious of. So Frederick Cotton's death was particularly significant in this because it was around this time that Mary Ann's pattern of death and financial gain began to draw serious attention. Frederick Cotton's death left Mary Ann with yet another insurance payment and a new lover, Joseph Nattrass, who also conveniently rewrote his will in her favour before dying of stomach problems.
Oh wow! Okay, she's on it.
She is. Now,
is she a good like? It's the Ricky Gervais thing, isn't it? Like,
is she good at it?
It's like a good serial killer, but that's kind of.
They always, I think, what tends to happen with serial killers is they're good at it at the start, and then they get more desperate, and the time between killings gets less and less and less, and stuff like that, and they tend to give themselves away in the end, don't they?
Yeah, they get too confident, don't they?
That's it. That's the
they sort of stretch it too far. Mm-hmm. At first, it's kind of let's just keep it on the down low. Now I'll do this, and they get away with it more and more and more, and then they'll do something, and it'll. I suppose the doors will just burst wide open.
Like anything in life, though, the first time you do it, if you're doing it for a thrill, you'll never get that thrill the same the second time. So you've got to almost.
Yeah, she's not doing it for a thrill, though, is she? She's doing it for monetary gain.
But like you said, it's confidence with her, isn't it? It's just get rid of another one. So the turning point came with the death of Charles Edward Cotton, Frederick's young son. So he was the stepson she was left with when Frederick died.
Oh, okay, right, yeah.
And his sudden illness and death in 1872 led to a public outcry. An investigation was launched, and the suspicions surrounding Mary Ann finally came to a head.
Right, so people were starting to notice that this isn't normal.
This is happening too often. Dr. William Byers Kilburn, who had attended to Charles Cotton, found his sudden death suspicious and ordered an inquest. During the post-mortem examination, traces of arsenic were discovered in Charles's stomach.
Wow. And at that point, you could probably buy arsenic from over the counter.
Well, yeah. I've read that there were quite a lot of things in the house that contained arsenic.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll touch on that in a minute.
Oh, right, sorry.
The discovery was damning and led to Mary Ann's arrest. The trial that followed was a sensational affair, capturing the public's imagination. Mary Ann Cotton's defence attempted to argue that the arsenic poisoning could have come from environmental sources, such as contaminated water or even the arsenic-laced wallpaper that was common at the time. Again,
I mean, I guess so, but then why isn't everyone dying?
Well, I've read more into this, again, going off and stuff that we haven't got time in our podcast to do, but apparently green in wallpaper had arsenic in it.
Right.
And a lot of things did. We've talked about this in other podcasts. Back in like the 1800s, there was, all sorts of stuff underneath the sink and bottles and stuff like that.
Yeah, it reminds me of like the Radium Girls that we did.
Yeah,
you say, oh, it's fine, and then 20 years later they go, oh, actually,
it's not fine. And in her trial, they tried to argue that because there was arsenic in this green wallpaper, that he wouldn't necessarily had to have been licking it, but little fragments of the paint could come off, and he could have inhaled them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then they actually worked out that he'd had to have eaten the whole wall of wallpaper to have died with arsenic poisoning.
Wow. Well, he did. He had a partial liking to green wallpaper.
Yeah. So but there was, arsenic was in quite a few household things. But
yeah, I can imagine. Yeah,
it shouldn't have been in his dinner.
Is that where it came from? Was that established?
No, they didn't establish.
But it was just like a huge dosage of it over time, which apparently meant that it has to come from somewhere that wasn't the wallpaper. Yeah.
From what they say, it was actually quite difficult to detect in food or drink as long as it was. Now, if I get this right, if it was warm, so if you put it in warm liquids, it dissolved quite easily, and it was
like tea and things like that.
That's it, yeah. Or maybe gravy, mashed potatoes, something like that. I don't know.
I don't even know like what was tea like a thing back then? Like, was it like? Can I imagine tea would have been like a sort of upper class thing? Maybe?
Tea came from India, so had we started bringing stuff back from India by then?
Oh, definitely by then. Yeah.
Yeah, it was earlier than that, wasn't it?
Yeah. But I just don't, because it was. I don't know whether it's kind of like a well-to-do thing or whether the common folk had tea, and but even so, I mean, like, I don't know, gravy as well. I suppose like you kind of like you have your drippings off your.
Yeah, they would have
meat and
they would have had stuff like that. It wasn't gravy like we have today. They just stuck corn flour in like the meat juices and thickened it a bit. Didn't they?
Yeah, because that's proper gravy. I know, like
that's real.
that is gravy, not bisto, is it? That's not gravy, is it? It's like beef sauce.
So you got Mary Ann trying to blame the arsenic in the wallpaper, but the prosecution countered with compelling evidence of Mary Ann's repeated proximity to arsenic deaths and her financial gains from insurance policies. On March the 24th, 1873, Mary Ann Cotton was found guilty of the murder of Charles Edward Cotton. Her trial exposed the chilling extent of her crimes, linking her to the deaths of 21 people.
21?
21.
It's almost kind of like, well done,
Yeah.
You've killed 21 people. That's like...
The thing is, you've got 3 or 4 husbands, or there's like a lover and 3 husbands and her mother. But there was a lot of children. Quite a lot of children went missing.
Bit, isn't it? Yeah. And they weren't hers either. They were like stepkids.
Some of them were hers. She killed some of the kids. Yeah. But like the records are a bit sketchy on the kids. You don't know. She could have had maybe even more kids, less kids. So they reckon they've worked out 21 people.
Wow.
The defence's attempts to blame the wallpaper did little to sway the jury, and Mary Ann was sentenced to death.
I mean, that's fair enough, isn't it? Because like the defense is, well, he died. This guy, Mr. Cotton, died because of the wallpaper. And then they go, well, what about the 20 others then?
Yeah. All in different houses.
Yeah, well, we had the same wall. I liked that wallpaper. We had it everywhere.
That was Laura Ashley. I always bought it. And this is the bit that got me. Mary Ann Cotton was hanged on March the 24th, 1873. She was hanged the same day. They don't fuck about, do they?
So she was found guilty and then
found guilty. Yeah, straight there. Take this rope with you.
I see, that's risky, isn't it? I'm not saying she didn't do it, but...
But what I read is apparently the trapdoor was too low, and her neck didn't break, and the executioner had to pull on her legs to choke her to death.
Oh God!
It didn't go wrong. I mean, if she's killed 21 people, I'd fuck her.
I know, that's the thing, is that you're like, oh, that's so brutal, and then you're like, well, she did kill a lot of people.
I know, yeah, she probably deserved it. So her execution marked the end of a horrific chapter in British criminal history. The case of Mary Ann Cotton taught the world many lessons, particularly about the importance of thorough investigations and the potential for insurance fraud as a motive for murder. So ours was one of the first cases that really came up where people were going, oh shit, someone might actually murder someone to get their life insurance.
And it still happens today, quite a lot.
All the time, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of faking deaths for insurance as well, isn't there?
Yeah, and like particularly like USA, because I watch a lot of sort of crime nonsense on the telly and stuff. And yeah, there's so many people over there who just because they have like wild insurance policies over there, where it's like $2.5 million. And they take out the policy, and then like 3 days later they're dead.
Yeah.
It's like, I wonder who this could be.
Bit suspicious, isn't it? Yeah. But that's the end of the story. The other thing it does say is that it was right at the forefront of forensics that basically, because of this, they upped their forensics and stuff and started to say, right, we need to do autopsies on, unless there's an absolute cause of death, we need to start doing more autopsies. We need to start testing bloods, testing the insides of someone's stomach when they're dead, just to try and...
We've touched on this before, and it's always the same. It's so tragic that things like this have to happen for people to go,
yeah,
do you know what? I think we need to pay a bit more attention here and do these certain things, And it always seems it takes something so dramatic and so horrible, and people have to die before someone in the sort of echelons of power goes, perhaps we're not doing this right. Maybe we need to have a look at doing these other things to make sure this doesn't happen again. It's a shame, really, but I suppose you don't know until it happens. Which the flip side of it is, how are we supposed to know that this was like she's obviously arguably like a clever lady, because she's got this, she's smart enough to go, right, okay, well, I'm skint, I'm going to do
got
this.
on to something.
And I'm going to get away with it. I've got away with it once, I'll do it again and again and again.
Yeah.
And I think like what we will find as we go through this sort of mini series, that the people that I'm going to backtrack actually, because one of them isn't that smart, but there's an element of like narcissism, I suppose, but also like intelligence, where like they know exactly what they're doing, and they're manipulating it, and so it's a horrible, tragic story, and a lot of people died, and it's a shame that a lot of children died. And I don't want to say it was necessary, but it's good that these further provisions came in place because of what happened.
Absolutely. So that's the story of Mary Ann Cotton.
Yeah, horrible.
I'm glad you didn't know it beforehand.
Yeah, I didn't beforehand, but like I say, I think there's definitely a TV. I'm sure I've seen something on TV about this.
What's interesting about her is technically she's not a British serial killer because she was only ever convicted and tried for killing one person. So if you look at a list of
so you've completely bent the rules then of this kind of mini.
Well, if you look at a list of British serial killers, it's weird because serial killers, I think, are 3 and more. And there's this list going down to like 3 people. And then there's a little asterisk and there's this Mary Ann Cotton on some serial killer list. And it's like, look, she only actually officially killed one person, but we reckon she killed 20.
Probably more. Yeah.
We're pretty certain.
We'll let you off.
He is a serial killer, but...
No, I'll let you off. And also, I'll let you off because it's relatively unknown, I suppose.
Yeah.
We'll come on to perhaps more famous serial killers progress, but this one is a very interesting one because, people like this stuff. And if you get way back, there's been serial killers throughout the ages, which people don't know about. So thank you very much.
No problem. You're welcome. So I think we're done.
I think that's it for this week. Right. So, that's it. We're done. Thank you for your efforts again, as per usual. I'm going to take a bed because Wednesday I'm still feeling Wednesday, and I need to prepare myself for Sunday.
I know, big night.
Guess what's happening on Sunday?
I don't know.
It's coming home, Fraser. I did it. I said it. I can't believe it. It's so silly.
I don't know. I don't even know if I'll watch it. I might do.
It's a miserable bastard. Yeah, you will.
We'll see. I think Maddie will watch it. She's in love with Jude Bellingham, so
Oh, really? Yeah.
yeah.
I think I might be as well.
We nearly signed his brother, Jobby.
Yeah, it's one of them, isn't it? Like, he's probably not that good.
Yeah, it's just because it's his
Because
brother, isn't it?
it's his brother.
So,
Anyway, I'll let you do the. Oh, socials. We've not done them.
oh yeah, follow us, like us, share us. Click on the three dots. Make sure you're automatically downloading. And what we'd love to do is if you get a chance to screenshot yourself actually listening to our podcast, so we know you're real,
Really?
and tag us in it on Instagram or Facebook. Upload it. That'd be nice.
It's a bit shit, that though, isn't it? Just photographs of people with the red trains on.
No, a screenshot of their phone with us on it. I changed our logo this week. I didn't tell you that.
Did you?
Yeah, only a little bit.
No, that's a bit shit. Screenshot. No, take a picture of yourself doing something dangerous. That'd be better. Swimming with sharks.
Yeah, but nothing too dangerous, you know.
Yeah, we don't. We can't afford to lose listeners.
I know. Yeah, don't die. Take your shot of doing something dangerous, like calling your mum a pig or something. You know, I don't know.
Don't ever call your mum a pig. Right. Anyway,
That's one of the 3 times I got battered by my mum.
I'm not surprised. That's horrible. Thank you everyone for listening. It's your show. You do the outro.
I know. Well, that's been the most dangerous podcast. Thanks very much, James. I'll see you next week.
See you next week. All right. Thanks everyone. Good night. Enjoy the football. Bye bye.
See you. Bye bye. Yeah, so she's arguing. For fuck's sake.
That thing's working well, though.
I know.